Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham, Racha Kodesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of 1 Samuel, the first chapter. And pretty much this is around the time of the beginning, right? The transition of the period of the judges, right? Into that of the monarchy, right, or the united nation, right, from where Israel comes together under a king as they requested of the Lord, starting with Saul, and then eventually transitioning on to David. So this book precedes that of, for example, what we've been going through in Jeremiah and all of those, almost like working backwards in time. So like I mentioned, at this point, you're pretty much just at the end of the period of the judges and introducing the time of um, the monarchs, right, or the dynasty that would be set up um, by Israel requesting a king over them. So this is the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 1. Now there was a certain man of Ramathaim Zophim of Mount Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Jehoram, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zoph, an Ephrathite. Now, let's look into the name here, Elkanah. All right. Allah Qurna, which is God has possessed or God has acquired, right? When you have the Allah, which is God, and Qurna, it goes into that, acquire. And it mentions here that he was an Ephrathite. Right now, he wasn't an Ephraimite, okay, but he was one dwelling in the land of Ephraim, right? So it tells you here, an inhabitant or descendant of Ephraim. And when you actually go through the lineage of Samuel, he was it goes back to Levi. All right, now see if I can find that. No, and it should be in Chronicles. Okay, let's take a look here. All right. It says here, the sons of Merari, just going through it real quick. And these are, actually, we'll start at 16. It says, the sons of Levi, Gershom, Kohath, and Merari. And these be the names of the sons of Gershom, Libni, and Shimei. And the sons of Kohath were Amram, which is where Moses and Aaron come from, and Izhar, and Hebron, and Uziel. The sons of Merari, Malhi, and Mushi. And these are the families of the Levites according to their fathers. Of Gershom, Libni his son, Jahath his son, Zimmah his son, Joah his son, Edo his son, Zerah his son, Jeatarai his son. The sons of Kohath, Aminadab his son, Korah his son, Asir his son, Elkanah his son, and Abiasaph his son, and Asir his son. But I want to, let's keep on going. Let me see until we get to Samuel. There we go. So it says here, Tahath his son, Uriel his son, Uzziah his son, and Shaul his son, and the sons of Elkanah, Amasai, and Ahimoth. As for Elkanah, the sons of Elkanah, Zophai his son, and Nahath his son, Eliab his son, Jehoram his son, Elkanah his son, and the sons of Samuel, the firstborn, Vashni and Abiah. Now, if we cross-reference here, I believe there is, let me see, what chapter is it? Yeah, so when you go into 1 Samuel, the 8th chapter, it goes into the sons of Samuel, right, as it says here. 1 Samuel 8 and 1, and it came to pass when Samuel was old, that he made his sons judges over Israel, and the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second Abiah, and they were judges in Beersheba. Now here in First Chronicles, they word it here as let's see, Vashni. Let's look into that and see who is this. Right, a son of Samuel. Oh, I mean that's not really much to go off of. Let's see if they give us any more here. Apparently a corrupt form for verse 18. Yeah, okay. So it says here, Vashni, First Chronicles 6 and 13, apparently a corrupt form for verse 18. So we'll take a look at verse 18. And First Samuel 8 and 2. For the same there is Yawa'ala, right? Which is Joel, I believe. Probably this should be Hasha. Yeah, I can't really make that up. That's a nah. But it says the whole passage is okay, some Hebrew names. And then it goes on. So it looks like this Vashni is as it says, a corrupt form, but it's still in reference to the son of um, Samuel, which is um, Joel. So let's go back to First Chronicles, just taking a look, because this will basically link this Samuel to Elkanah, right? Which is the Samuel and the same Elkanah that we're reading of in the book of First Samuel. Let's go up to verse 18 and see what reference they were referencing over there. Yeah. So yeah, there you go. And if we just look this up in the secular history, what tribe was Samuel from in the Bible? Right, it says here Samuel was from the tribe of Levi, though his father Elkanah lived in the hill country in the tribe of Ephraim. This is because Levites were assigned to live in cities scattered throughout Israel, and Samuel's priestly lineage made him a descendant of Levi. His family was from the tribe of Levi, but their geographic home was in the territory of Ephraim. And then it goes into Samuel's father Elkanah was a Levite, making Samuel a descendant of the tribe of Levi. The book of Chronicles details his lineage within the tribe of Levi. So when it says Ephrathite, it means that he was dwelling there, but not that they were Ephraimites. Just to make that distinction there. So going back to, where are we here? First Samuel, the first chapter and the first verse. So I'll read it again. It says, "Now there was a certain man of Ramathaim Zophim of Mount Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Jehoram, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zoph, an Ephrathite. And he had two wives. The name of one was Hannah, the name of the other Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children." And I believe Hannah in the Hebrew is Chana, which is grace. And Peninnah, see what it means. Jewel. Okay. So he basically had I think it says he had two wives. Yeah, he had two wives. And one of them had children, the other was barren, which is Hannah. And this man went up out of his city yearly to worship, to sacrifice unto the Lord of hosts in Shiloh. Because at that point, that was where they had that was like where they had set up, everything, right? I believe the tabernacle and so on. So it wasn't until later on, right? Eventually they moved the ark. Okay. The ark gets moved. We'll go into it as we go through the next chapters. And then in the future, King Solomon ends up building the temple over there in Jerusalem. So at this point in time, the main place was Shiloh, at least as it says here that he went to. And this is why also in the book of Jeremiah, the Lord referenced how he would do to Jerusalem as he did to Shiloh, because that was the original place of worship. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, the priests of the Lord Yahweh, were there. And when the time was that Elkanah offered, he gave to Peninnah his wife and to all her sons and her daughters portions. And I believe this was like a peace offering, because when you go into the law with the peace offerings, you would come, you would offer it, and a portion would be given to the priest, but also a portion would be eaten by the offerer, and like their family and so on. So whenever they offered, right, he basically gave some to Peninnah, to her sons, and then and her daughters. But unto Hannah he gave a worthy portion, so he gave a larger amount, for he loved Hannah. But the Lord had shut up her womb, so she was barren; she couldn't have children. And her adversary also provoked her sore, all right, being Peninnah, basically making fun of her and trying to make her feel bad for being barren, for to make her fret. So she was trying to provoke her. Now it seems here that the dynamic was that likely Peninnah was jealous that uh, of the kind of you know way that or maybe the special attention that Elkanah gave to Hannah, you know. And so, as it says, she provoked her because the Lord had shut up her womb. And in the NLT, right, it's worded as, so Peninnah would taunt Hannah and make fun of her because the Lord had kept her from having children. And as he did so year by year, so every year as they went up to offer sacrifice, when she went up to the house of the Lord Yahweh, so she provoked her. So this wasn't a one-time thing. This was like recurring over and over. Therefore she wept and did not eat. So it got to the point where it got to Hannah to where now she just was so sad she didn't want to eat. Then said Elkanah her husband to her, Hannah, why weepest thou? And why eatest thou not? And why is thine heart grieved? Am not I better to thee than 10 sons? So, I understand that you're barren. I understand you want children, but you have me. So Hannah rose up after they had eaten in Shiloh, and after they had drunk. Now Eli the priest sat upon a seat by a post in the temple of the Lord Yahweh. And she was in bitterness of soul, and prayed unto the Lord, and wept sore, this being Hannah. And she vowed a vow, and said, O Lord Yahweh of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the affliction of thine handmaid, and remember me, and not forget thine handmaid, but will give unto thine handmaid a man-child. So she was asking the Lord to have her get pregnant, open up her womb, and give her a son. Then I will give him unto the Lord Yahweh all the days of his life. So she would dedicate the son to the Lord. And there shall no razor come upon his head. Which is a sign, right, of like similar to Samson, who was dedicated unto the Lord. And it came to pass, as she continued praying before the Lord Yahweh, that Eli marked her mouth. So Eli, right, sitting as it says by the post, was watching her, right? And as she was praying, as it's gonna say, she was basically praying in her mind, but her lips were moving. Now Hannah, she spake in her heart, right? So she prayed in her head, only her lips moved. Like when you're reading something but you're not reading out loud. So you're just forming the words with your lips, but you're pronouncing it in your mind. Something similar, as it says, only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she had been drunken. So he thought she was drunk, and that's why she's doing that. And Eli said unto her, how long wilt thou be drunken? Put away thy wine from thee. Okay, so in other words, like this ain't the place for that. Or must you come here drunk? He demanded, throw away your wine. And Hannah answered and said, no, my lord, I am a woman of a sorrowful spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but have poured out my soul before the Lord. So I'm not, I'm not drunk, but I'm just, in despair. I'm praying. Count not thine handmaid for a daughter of Belial, meaning like a wicked woman. For out of the for out of the abundance of my complaint and grief have I spoken hitherto. So the reason I was praying for so long, and I was weeping and I looked like that was because I was in grief and I was asking the Lord of to grant my request. And Eli answered and said, Go in peace, and the God of Israel grant thee thy petition that thou hast asked of him. So you know what? That's fine. You go about your day, and the Lord is gonna, answer your prayers. And she said, Let thine handmaid find grace in thy sight. So the woman went her way, and did eat, and her countenance was no more sad, because she had faith in that prayer, right? And so after having prayed to the Lord and heard that, she probably took that as a confirmation, and so now she was joyous, like, oh yeah, like, hey, she's excited, she has hope. And they arose in the morning early and worshipped before the Lord and returned. And so more than likely what it was they probably were lodged at an inn or somewhere nearby, and then would come to the temple, right, to worship and sacrifice. And then after that, they returned. So they probably spent maybe a couple of days there yearly, and then they would return back to their home. So more than likely, it wasn't like a short journey. And returned and came to their house to Ramah, and Elkanah knew Hannah his wife. So he got down. He pleased that. He did his thing as his duty as a husband. That's what it means by knowing her. And the Lord remembered her. So the Lord remembered her prayer and her petition. Wherefore it came to pass, when the time was come about after Hannah had conceived, so after the 9 months after she had become pregnant, that she bare a son, and called his name Samuel, saying, Because I have asked him of the Lord. And when you look into Samuel's name, I believe in the Hebrew is Shamwa'ala, which is like the name of God. All right, Shamwa'ala. You have Sham or Allah, which is God, and Sham, which is a name. As it says, his name is El, short for Allah, which is God. Verse 21. And the man Elkanah and all his house went up to offer unto the Lord Yahweh the yearly sacrifice and his vow. So as he would do yearly, he took his whole house. However, but Hannah went not up, for she said unto her husband, I will not go up until the child be weaned. So Samuel was still being breastfed, right? And I believe that with the Hebrews, it was maybe about until 3 years old or so before they were weaned. And so she says, until he's weaned, and he's eating solid foods and he's no more being breastfed, then I'll bring him to the temple or to Shiloh, and have him, as it says, that he may appear before the Lord and there abide forever. So she would basically dedicate Samuel to the Lord, as that's what she said she would do. And Elkanah, her husband, said unto her, Do what seemeth thee good. Tarry until thou have weaned him. Only the Lord Yahweh establish his word, right? So may the Lord help you, and establish that. And you stay here and then do what you got to do. So the woman abode and gave her son suck until she weaned him. And when she had weaned him, she took him up with her with 3 bullocks and 1 ephah of flour and a bottle of wine, and brought him unto the house of the Lord Yahweh in Shiloh. And the child was young. So yeah, Samuel, you can imagine, was a boy, a young boy at this time. And they slew a bullock and brought the child to Eli. And she said, O my Lord, as thy soul liveth, my Lord, I am the woman that stood by thee here praying unto the Lord. So you remember me from years ago, the woman that you thought I was drunk and I was, telling you, no, yeah, that's me. For this child I prayed. This is what I was praying for. And the Lord Yahweh hath given me my petition, which I asked of him. Therefore also I have lent him to the Lord Yahweh. As long as he liveth, he shall be lent to the Lord. And he worshipped the Lord there. And that's the end of 1 Samuel, the 1st chapter, right? So as we're seeing here, basically the beginning of the story, right, or the journey of Samuel, and how what brought him about, right, and what he would do. So he was basically dedicated to the Lord and served there in the temple with Eli and amongst Eli and his sons. So with that, Lord willing, this was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Recha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.